But everyone has a different story to tell. Shell, which says it's losing
The Tampa market. Starting to rise.
In Northeast Africa, precisely on the Horn of Africa.
All right, good morning, folks. Once again, good morning. This is Frank. Welcome to the Revolutionary Repatriation Educational Lecture Series aspect of WCC. I am your host, as usual. So, as you come on, please share the live video, and also please like and subscribe and ask others to subscribe to it as well, so that whenever we go live, they can be able to catch us live and be part of this great discussion. So today's topic, it says Africa colonial past is Africa current state. Africa colonial past is Africa current state. And U.S. Senator J.D. Vance statement about the American democracy. And he said the American democracy the American, how they call it, foreign policy. So he said the American foreign policy is dangerous. All right. So Senator J.D. Vance says the American foreign policy is dangerous. So yeah, that's what we're going to be looking at. So what makes the American foreign policy dangerous? Are they now noticing that the American foreign policy is dangerous because the American foreign policy have been dangerous? It's not, but have been, okay, have been dangerous. All right. American foreign policy have been dangerous in other country or overseas country, but not in America, because American foreign policy have benefited the American elite, have benefited the American economy, okay? While in other country where that foreign policy is working, it affects the resident, the citizen of that country. All right. So, but here it is a senator that came out to say the American foreign policy is dangerous. Now, the question then becomes, is it dangerous because those nations, those citizens, the continent of Africa is waking up? Because he directed, okay, this discussion specifically to Africa. So the American foreign policy is dangerous because Africans are waking up. The American foreign policy is dangerous because the continent of Africa have realized that with the American foreign policy, America won't be a nation to do business with. So in our case, it's not dangerous because it's putting America in a situation that is dangerous for America, right? So the issue then becomes, whenever the oppressed are waking up, then it becomes problem for the oppressor. So that is what exactly this senator is talking about. Whenever the oppressed are waking up, right? Whenever the oppressed are gaining momentum or are gaining power or are trying to unite, right? Or are trying to find other means, the oppressor found it otherwise, right? So we're going to look at that, and we're also going to look at what we mean by Africa colonial past is Africa current state, is Africa current situation. All right. So today, I only have one article to read. So basically, we're going to be dealing with video. I'm hoping we're not going to take long here because I don't have too much video to show. So I'm hoping that we are not going to take long here. So we're going to look at what that senator had a quite meant by the U.S. foreign policy is dangerous. All right, we're going to look at that critically. Why is it dangerous? Why is it dangerous to him? Because African know already. African have already been in the knowing that the American foreign policy is dangerous. It's not something to do business with America. All right. But before we can go into that, right? There is a video about the former president, President Barack Obama, that I want to bring first to look at it, and then before we can get into Africa. All right, before we can get to the issue of what we are here for. But I want to bring out this video because this video also intertwined with what we're going to discuss today. So I'm going to bring out a video about Barack Obama because right now Barack Obama is already campaigning. All right, so the Democrat always have that tactics. All right, once election is coming, the Democrat always go in for the celebrity. Barack Obama is a celebrity. He's not a politician. He's not an advocate. He is a celebrity. All right. So they go in for a celebrity like Obama and they bring him in to convince black people. All right. And this goes to black people in America and also black people in Africa. So it got to both the African continent and the diaspora. All right. So this message is for everybody because Barack Obama as a celebrity, he have always been used and they are using him again. All right. And bear in mind, now I'm not saying this to say because there are some celebrities who have put their career online. I'm not talking about those celebrities. There are some good celebrities. There are some great celebrities. All right. But I'm talking about those celebrities who never come out to speak. They only come out when election time is coming. They only come out when white supremacy want them to come out to portray or to carry out the information of white supremacy, to keep the white supremacy agenda. Those are the kind of celebrity we're talking about. But when something happened to African people, you don't see these celebrity. These celebrity, won't be that era because they are celebrity, they are entertainer, so they don't want to be involved into politics. But when there's election time coming, and then that's the time they want to be involved into politics. All right. So Barack Obama, he is a celebrity in that sense. So let's see this video, and then because I want to educate him. All right. Sorry to say this, folks. Not all of those people that are out there that actually, how to call it. They may have some formal education, but that doesn't mean they are aware of the situation. All right. So we just want to educate the former president, Barack Obama. Okay. The neo-colonialist and the puppet to white supremacy. Let's see. So this is Barack Obama here talking about democracy. All right. Because I don't think Mr. Obama understands what democracy is. All right. He might have been in the White House, but he was there running a white supremacy agenda. And if you are running a white supremacy agenda, then you don't understand what democracy is. Because if you understand what democracy is, you will not run on a white supremacy agenda. You will not run on a colonial agenda. And throughout his leadership, former President Barack Obama have been carrying on the agenda of colonial policy, the agenda of white supremacy. So if you are carrying on those agenda, you are not in any position to come to lecture us about democracy. If you believe in white supremacy, if you believe in colonial agenda, you are not in any way, in any form, to come to talk to us about what democracy is. You can carry that on the other side, but don't bring it on this side here.
Hi, everybody. I want to start by thanking Columbia Journalism School for organizing this event, and I want to give a special shout out to your dean, Jelani Cobb, without whom we wouldn't be here today. Dean Cobb has never been afraid to tackle tough issues. So last summer, I reached out to him to talk about the role of the press in strengthening our democracy. What I didn't expect was that less than a year later, he would organize a series of events to explore the issues and debate solutions. That's exactly what he did, and I'm grateful to everyone who's participating, including some of the brightest minds in media and academia who are actively working through these challenges every single day. I talk a lot about how democracy is neither inevitable nor self-executing. Citizens like us have to nurture it. We have to tend to it and fight for it. And as our circumstances change, we have to be willing to look at ourselves critically and make reforms that can allow democracy not just to survive, but to thrive. That's especially important right now. Our democracy has always faced its share of challenges, but increasingly it feels like we're at an inflection point with rising inequality, deepening polarization, and widespread disinformation. At the same time, we're also trying to adapt to advancements in technology like AI that could profoundly change our world.
All right, folks. So I want us, hold on, let me close this down. All right, I'm back. Sorry, folks, I was a little bit distracted. So I want us to take this video bit by bit. So President Obama is sitting here. Bear in mind, this is election time coming, all right? 2024, as we all know, is election time, all right? Now, here is this puppet, this neo-colonialist, sitting here talking about the role of the press, all right? Now, Obama once said the United States democracy is failing because people no longer have interest in the press, because people no longer have interest in CNN, in BBC, in ABC, all right? People no longer have interest in it because those mainstream media gave you what they want for you to hear, what they want for you to carry, all right, alone, to be conditioned. But now, people no longer have interest in it. So they are trying to rebrand, okay, to regroup, to come back, all right, to see how people can still be conditioned. That is why the American democracy is failing. So that means America does not have democracy. Because if you say the reason why democracy is failing is because people no longer have interest in the media, people are not going to find the information for themselves, then that means America is not a democracy. Because democracy is an institution or an entity where people go and find information, the truth, where people cannot be conditioned on what the system want to give them. That's not democracy. Now, he says citizens like us, him. Okay, hold on. Let's see something here. That entire video plays, then I can talk about it.
If we want to preserve our democratic ideals, we need to face these trends head on, and we need all of you to help us do it. Journalists have always been on the front lines of the struggle for democracy, and some of you have the scars to prove it. And that's why it's so important to find creative ways to reinvigorate quality journalism. It's why we need to keep standing up for the rights of journalists around the world, many who are facing increasing threats and challenges just trying to do their jobs. So what does all this mean for us? As a private citizen, although one that can still get a fair amount of attention, I plan to keep shining a light on the biggest challenges that democracy faces. That includes revitalizing our political institutions, coming up with more inclusive and sustainable models of capitalism, and creating a stronger democratic culture. But it also means creating an information environment that reinforces rather than erodes our democracy. One in which truth matters, one in which we are able to distinguish between fact and opinion, one in which we're able to tell.
So first of all, let's look at this facts and opinion. Now, the American democracy is not based on facts. The American democracy is based on lies. Wasn't there seen Barack Obama that went to Libya and lied? Wasn't there seen Barack Obama where they were able to use the mainstream media and lie about Gaddafi? Weren't they seen Barack Obama where they were able to use the mainstream media and say they want to take democracy to Libya? They want to give democracy to the Libyan people. Weren't they seen Barack Obama? And after that, they seen Barack Obama came and said the mainstream media lie. Even though he didn't say the mainstream media lie, but he said one of the greatest mistakes he ever did in his leadership was to go and kill Gaddafi and bomb Libya and destroy Libya. So if he said that, then that means he was also telling us that mainstream media lie. What they told us about Gaddafi, they lie. What they told us about Libya, they lie. What they told us about providing democracy for Libya, they lie. So how can these men, these big men, come and sit here and lie? I thought Barack Obama was perfect. But why did he lie so much? So that's the kind of press, that's the kind of mainstream media you want us to go back to. You lied to us, Barack Obama. You lied to us. Your media lied to us. And that is why we no longer trust your media. We're in the same media that lied to us and say, Iraq have nuclear weapon. And then later on, the same media came and said, Iraq did not have nuclear weapon. So then, what was the proof that you first came and told us Iraq had nuclear weapon? What was the proof that you first came and told us that Gaddafi was a dictator? Gaddafi was ill-treating his people. Gaddafi was killing his people. Gaddafi did not give democracy to his people. You needed to go give democracy to Libya. What was the evidence? And now you destroy Libya, you kill Gaddafi. Up to now, you have not been able to provide democracy for the people. What was the democracy you promised for the Libyan? So you lie. The American democracy is based on lies. It's based on deceit. It's based on fallacy. That's the American democracy. Because election time is coming, then you want to come here to convince black people. Or because your foreign policies in Africa has failed and Africans have realized it, oh, then you want to come to talk about revitalizing your democracy or your foreign policy or finding means or finding ways with all these nice words. You don't have democracy because you don't practice democracy. Because democracy says a democratic nation cannot go against another democratic institution that is within the guideline of what democracy is. As a democratic institution, you cannot go against another democratic institution. But what have you done? You have always gone against elected democratic leaders in Africa. How can you be a democratic nation and you go against another elected democratic president? That's the kind of lies of the American media. That's the kind of lies of the American democracy. How can you come and sit here, big man like you, come and sit here and lie? These are the kind of people who will say they are voice for the voiceless, but they are never they never come out to speak for the voiceless. They never come out to speak for the needy. They never come out to speak for the oppressed. The only time people like Obama come out to speak is when the oppressed criticize the system. It's when the voiceless come out to voice out the ill behavior of the system against them. The only time people like Obama can come out to speak is when the unconscious minds are becoming conscious. Then that's the time you will find people like Obama to come out to speak, to voice out. But Obama will never come out to voice out for the needy, to voice out for his people, to voice out of the ill behavior in society. But whenever the status quo are being challenged, whenever the status quo are losing their position, then that's the time this puppet like Obama can come out to talk. That's the time they have voice to come out. That's the time they can come out to want to identify themselves as being part of us. What is democracy? Is that democracy whenever black people, whenever African people come out to challenge the status quo, whenever African people come out to say, to mention about the injustices, you go against them and take them to court. Is that democracy? Where have we been? Today, the African People's Socialist Party chairman is in court for standing out for African people. Is in court for standing out for his people. Where are you, Barack Obama? Where is that democracy? Is that a kind of democracy whenever our kind come out to stand against white supremacy, and white supremacy come against us and tell you can't speak here, and then they find all kind of means, all kind of worries, all kind of charges just to silence us? Is that the kind of democracy you're talking about? Where is the democracy? Because if there is democracy, then I don't think the African People's Socialist Party should be in court, should be indicted. for educating their people, to be liberated. Because our liberation means failure to white supremacy, as we have seen. We have seen the kind of a diplomatic effort white supremacy have made on the African continent, and is now working. Because the more we wake up, the more it becomes problem for them. Where have it been, Barack Obama, with all what is going on with African people? Where have it been? Let's continue.
A common story and not just a bunch of separate stories that reinforce our biases and our prejudices. These are areas where we're going to have to do better for our democracy to stay strong. And you are going to be on the front lines of making that happen. I want to challenge all of
No, Barack Obama, we are not going to be on the front line for white supremacy. You know what? In America, when Black people stand out for themselves, stand out against a system, they call Black people thought. In Africa, when African people stand out against white supremacy, against a system to liberate or to make us self-sufficient, self-determined people, they call us savage or savages. So you have words for us, you identify us. In America, you call us thugs. In Africa, you call us savages. So what kind of system you talking about you want us to be part of? So what Obama is doing here, Obama is trying to build another new neo-colonialist. Because this is how they maintain their position in order to be at the spot he is, like a celebrity, okay, like an entertainer. Because in the eyes of white supremacy, Obama is an entertainer. Whenever they want him to come and entertain Black people, to convince Black people, they say him. So he is an entertainer in the eyes of the white supremacy. He is an entertainer. But Mr. Obama, you can be an entertainer. Go and entertain the white supremacists. Don't come to us. Because even the unconscious know who you are. That not to even speak about the conscious minds.
of you to think about how you can make a difference, both individually and collectively, to the cause, not of any particular politics or political party, but to the cause of facts and accuracy and truth and credibility. And that includes all of you who are students. You're going to be shaping the future of journalism and the media. And there are going to be times where business models and technologies are making it tougher for you to do your job. There are going to be moments in which it feels like the only way to get attention is to try to engage in the sort of opinion journalism that gets people angry and riled up and resentful, or just creates controversy and gets attention.
So it is not the white supremacy and the neo-colonialist, okay, want the truth. Since when have we ever spoken the truth about the African continent? All you have said about the African continent was poverty, beggars. people who live on loans, people who can get tired begging America, begging the West. But you have never come out one day to tell the world how rich Africa is. You have never one day come out to tell the world America live on Africa. Europe live on Africa. You have never. But now, because Africans are telling their stories, now because Africans in America are going back home and they are saying things for yourself, you have lied to us centuries upon century. You lied to Africa in Africa that Africa in America are thugs. And you lied to Africa in America that Africa in Africa are savages. But we came and we saw they are not taught. But they went and they saw they are not savages. And we began to explain our own story, narrate our own story, teach our own story. And we began to disbelieve CNN, BBC, all your mainstream media. We began to see you as a liar, man, fake. And then you want us to go back. You would have seen Obama call black people thought when you were president. You never understood the plight of the people, the frustration of the people. You call them thought. You went to the African continent. Instead of you going to promote agriculture, instead of you going to promote technology, instead of you going to promote education, instead of you going to decolonize the colonial agenda, but no, you went there with a colonial agenda. You went there to preach about gay. You went there to preach about LGBT. You never went there to ask Africans about their problems. But you went there to take American foreign policy. The foreign policy that J.D. Vance said is dangerous. So you went on the African continent with a dangerous policy to destroy African people.
And hot takes and clickbait. The problem is if that's all we're doing, then it's going to be harder and harder for us to determine and distinguish between truth and fiction. It's going to be harder.
No, it's not going to be harder because we know where to get our truth now. And we know who tell the truth and who lie. The American mainstream media lie. They never tell the truth. And you, Barack Obama, you lie. You never tell the truth. You lie about Gaddafi. You kill him. You lie about American democracy in Libya. Until today, they have not received democracy. You lie about Iraq. And you destroy Iraq. They didn't have nuclear weapon. You lie about DRC Congo. You say it is Kigami that is supporting M23 rebel. But who supported Kigami in DRC? You train Kigami. You train Museveni. And you send it to DRC. You give them ammunition. You make them rebel in DRC. And then today you came out to say It is Kagame who is a rebel. It is Kagame who is supporting the rebel. Kagame is just a product of your foreign policy. Kagame is just a product of your dangerous policy. Museveni is just a product of your dangerous policy. So how can you come out to blame those people that they are the ones supporting the M23 rebel, or they are the ones supporting the rebel in DRC Congo? You train them. You created the rebel. Folks, Africa colonial past is Africa current state. Because since the 1884 Berlin Conference, DRC Congo have not seen peace. DRC Congo is still colonized because it is controlled by America, by UK, by Asia. It is controlled by them. They create proxy war there. How can you come and lie to say Paul Kagame is the cause of the war in DRC Congo, of the proxy war in DRC Congo? Is Paul Kagame making ammunition? Because those ammunition are all foreign arms. You create proxy war to make business, to sell arms. You took Paul Kagame in DRC Congo to be rebel. And Paul Kagame left. The rebels stayed there. Then how can you say Paul Kagame is the cause of rebel being in DRC Congo when you took Paul Kagame there along with other faction, but Paul Kagame left?
For us to be able to have reasonable debates in the marketplace of ideas. It's going to be a lot easier for those who want to polarize us and break us apart.
Mr. President, nobody trying to break you apart here. Yesterday, many years ago, we tried to dialogue with you. So what Barack Obama is doing here, he's chunking one stone to kill many birds. He's convincing black voters in America at the same time convincing African people on the African continent. Many years ago, we have tried to have dialogue with you. We have tried to sit on the same table. But you told us we were inferiors. We cannot sit on the same table. African leaders were inferiors. They cannot sit on the same table with American leaders. Oh, it happened the last time when you had the African U.S. Leadership Summit. When Blinken was sitting down, African leaders were standing. And Blinken was giving command to them. African leaders were standing, some of them with their big gut, like Mount Norwich. Dry, and their gut big. Standing like security guard over Blinken. So how can you say you want for people to sit with you on the same table to have dialogue? You never agreed to have dialogue with you. For each time those brave African leaders try to have dialogue with them, you put sanction on them. That have been your policy. That have been your role. For each time brave African leader try to dialogue with you, you sanction them. If you don't sanction them, you carry a coup d'etat. You remove them. If you don't do that way, you write them letter and tell them it is time for you to go. Is that an act of democracy or an act of evil or an act of deceit or an act of enemyship? You have created enemyship all over and you are dealing with it and you will deal with it. Nobody coming to sit on the table to dialogue with you because you are fake. You are not real. Nobody trusts you. You can come right back and stop the pressing.
and it's going to be more difficult for us to self-govern. So what you do next, the imagination, the innovation, the determination that you're able to apply in your jobs is going to help determine the fate of our democracy.
Now, I will tell you this. Our determination is based on the freedom of African people. Our determination is not based on how they call it, coordinating with anybody now. Because we have come to realize that it's fake. You are fake. Our determination is based on African determination. It's not based on saving the world, because we cannot save the world. Our determination is based on saving African people and the African continent and the African land and the African nations. That is our determination. Our determination is not based on saving the world, because the war have never saved African people. The war have never been there for African people. So our determination, we care less about other people. Because the world determination is based on their kind. So our determination is also based on our kind. What other people do to survive, we are also going to do the same thing to survive. So you can get your idea to your white supremacists. You cannot beat a black man, an African man, and you have the mindset of a white supremacist. And you say you are speaking for us. You cannot have the mindset of a colonialist, of an imperialist, and you say you are a cautious person. Don't speak to us. You are not identified in our midst, and you will never be identified in our midst.
Whether democracy gets stronger or whether it gets weaker, whether people become more divided or can come together to solve some of our biggest problems.
No, Barack Obama, you're getting it wrong. Which one of the race have ever come with black people to say, you know what, let us come together to solve this problem. Let us be united. Let us be peaceful. Oh, but when black people, when African people decide that, you know what, since these people say segregation, and we have said no, we don't want segregation. So you know what? Let's go with it. Let's segregate. Then that's the time you will come out and say, oh no, don't segregate. No, we are all one. No, God made creation in his own image. No, we cannot separate in this global world. We all gotta coexist. No. You told us you want to be by yourself, and we should be by ourselves. And we told you this idea is bad. If we go by ourselves, you will not like it. And now we try to separate. You want separation. You call for separation. And now we want to separate. They say, oh no, don't separate. We want you to stay to support the idea of white supremacy. As long you can, as long you agree to white supremacy, as long you agree to be oppressed, as long you agree to be under the capitalist system, we will coexist. That's not what we want. You can stay to where you are. That's fine, Barack Obama. That's good with you. But we are not part of you, and you are not part of us. Be to where you are.
Events like this are a great start, a way for us to begin to get some frameworks around these issues and hopefully come up with some solutions. And I'm really looking forward to following your progress. But I hope you understand how important the work that you do is and why it's going to matter to all of us. Let's get to work.
Yes, Mr. President, we are at work. We are at work. If you want us to coexist, don't go against African people. If you want us to coexist, don't go against African people when they're speaking out about the ill in society, when they're speaking out about the injustices, when they're speaking out about being free. Why do you have the chairman for the African People's Socialist Party in court? Why did you indict them? Why are you embarrassing their movement? That's not the kind of democracy we want. So you want us to believe on the media, what they have put on the media about the African People's Socialist Party. That's what you want us to believe. But when we go, we find out the true information as to why they are being indicted. When we go and find out the true information about why the system is going after them, and we began to ask the system, we began to ask you, Barack Obama, then it became a problem. But guess what? We are here to decolonize the system. We don't trust the media anymore, and we will never trust the media anymore. You call for separation. Yes, we agree. We are going to separate. What are you afraid of? You call for segregation. It was not black people that brought about the word segregation. You brought it. It was not black people that brought about the word separation. You brought it. It was not black people that brought about how they call it, a rare lightning. You brought it. It was not black people that brought about zip code. You brought it because you did not want for black people to leave their zip code to come to your zip code to attend good or quality education. Because you wanted for black people to live in their zip code to go to their how they call it, to their honor privilege or honor funding schools, honor privilege or honor funding hospitals. You brought about all these demarcation. Not black people, not African people, not us, but you. So why do you have problem when we say, okay, let's do it, let's move on? Why do you have problem? When we say, okay, we don't believe you, why do you have problem? When we say, okay, we want to create our own system, we don't need your system. Why do you have problem when we say we don't need your system? So does that mean you are leaving because we believe in your system? Does that mean you are striving because we believe in your system or we accept your system? Oh, does that mean you are striving because we remain oppressed people? Do you know why Barack Obama said this? Barack Obama is saying this because not only black people or not only African people, but even white America have come to realize that the American democracy is fake. Even white America have come to realize that the American mainstream media is fake. You know how they have come to realize it? They have, because most of them also listen to a channel like this and various platforms. Okay? They see information, they see evidence. And they have seen the bad reporting of the American mainstream media. They have seen the bad reporting or report that come from the White House or the last time, the White House press secretary. She discriminated against an African journalist. So that is why Barack Obama is so angry and frustrated as an entertainer. They used him to come and speak. He was sitting there entertaining himself, and he thought he was talking to African people. You wasted your time. Let me show you something. I showed something the last time here. Let me re-show it back again, okay? Because this is what Barack Obama is talking about. Because even when America have come, some of them have come to realize how fake the American democracy is. And they made video and they play fun of it and they laugh of the American democracy. They laugh of the American press. Look at this right here. Okay? These folks, they were playing fun of the American democratic system. They were playing fun of the American press because they themselves, they have to go and find the information from other people, from other platforms, from other Africans that are speaking out.
Half as charming there as she is here.
It says leaders in Ghana, Zambia slammed the United States for undemocratic meddling amid Vice President Harris's tour of Africa. Well, it sure sounds bad if you say it like that.
Wait.
Undemocratic meddling?
Oh, no, that's for the other one.
Come on. Undemocratic.
That's for his...
I got it.
Yeah.
So watch this. So this is the guy. He's the Zambian opposition leader. His name is Fred Menembe. This is his speech during the visit from Kamala Harris. This is the speech during her visit. Okay, ready?
A country that has toppled so many governments in Africa, that has led so many coups in Africa and other parts of the world, a country that has killed so many of our leaders in Africa and other parts of the world, the killers of Patrice Lumumba, those who toppled Kwame Nkrumah, those who killed Nasser, those who killed Muammar Gaddafi, today are coming to teach us about democracy. A country that has been built on brutal force, on enslavement of other human beings, on the humiliation of Africans, the exploitation of Africans, the plunder of Africa, today is coming to teach us about democracy. If you have no respect for the dignity of others, if you have no respect for the sovereignty of other countries, you cannot claim to be a champion of democracy.
Bam. That's the African stream. Bam.
Oh, they should have heard her giggling as he sang it.
Yeah. So he's laying it out. America, you are the imperialists. You killed all our African leaders. You pillage our natural resources. You come in and you're going to lecture us about democracy.
Sir, Kamala Harris doesn't know anything about that stuff.
Okay, so this is what exactly Barack Obama is frustrated, because these are folks that are also following African platforms to get the true story. These are folks that are no longer listening, or they no longer have interest in Obama CNN, in Obama ABC or BBC, in Obama or Fox News. These are folks that don't have interest in it. These are folks that are now going on other smaller African platforms and getting a true story, and see them sitting here laughing and playing fun of Obama democracy. These are folks sitting here laughing at Obama democracy. These are folks sitting here telling Obama, we no longer believe in the American mainstream media. These are folks sitting here telling Barack Obama, we no longer believe in the American press. They lie. They are thief. They are looter. They loot. See them laughing. Oh, when you kill African leaders and then you want to come and tell African people about democracy. When you kill African elected democratic presidents, how can you go and remove an elected president but the people, of the people, and then go back and lecture them about democracy for the people, of the people, by the people? Do you see how fake these people are? And Obama is not even ashamed. He's not even ashamed of himself to still have the courage to come and tell African people about democracy. Obama does not even, he's not even ashamed of himself. He still have the courage to come and show his face to talk to African people about democracy or about rule of law. God damn you.
And this is from, again, their official Twitter, African Stream, says, no China obsession here. So now watch, here is, this is from Ghana. So he's going to watch what he says about China and the United States.
No, there may be an obsession in America about Chinese activities on the continent, but there's no such obsession here. But China is one of the many countries with whom Ghana is engaged in the world. Your country is one of them. Virtually all the countries of the world are friends of Ghana.
That's right. Everybody in the world is friends of Ghana. And I guess he's just calling America just like another hoe.
Yeah,
right?
I see a lot of countries.
That's
And by the way, again, just to deploy a little bit, the video that Barack Obama made, again, like I said, it was one stone that he threw to kill so many birds. It's an African proverb, okay? You throw one stone to kill 1,000 birds. That is what exactly Barack Obama did. Because next year is election time, okay? And people, citizens, a black voter, majority do not believe in a so-called fake American democracy, or they do not believe in a so-called fake Democrat. Okay, not Democrat, but Democrat. Okay, because the Democrat have crack, so it's Democrat. So he's now working tirelessly, and not only him. From now until next year, you're going to see a lot of celebrity who have been silent behind the scene to come out to play the victim game, to say, oh, the Republican are the problem, the Republican are this, the Republican are bad, the Republican trying to do. They're going to play the mind game, the tactics game to scare you, to say Republican are the people. But Democrat is in power. Do you know how many people have died by gun violence, by police brutality, by shooting campuses, mall, business center? Oh, it's on a Democrat. Not on a Republican, but on a Democrat. Okay? So what Obama was trying to talk about here, right? He was also trying to say, for Africans to choose other nation or other policy over the American foreign policy, I don't think it's right. I think we should come back and sit down on the table to renegotiate, to readjust. You see, in life, whenever you are no longer in a discussion, or let's say, whenever you are in the discussion, right? You try to adjust. When you are in a discussion, you try to adjust. And when you are no longer in a discussion, what happened? You change in order to be in a discussion. This is what happening to America right now. America is seeing herself, okay, not even adjusting because she's no longer in a discussion. So she wants to get back in the discussion. So in doing that, she's trying to change. And in changing, she's now telling African, no, don't take China over us. Don't take other people over us. And you know, we can renegotiate. We can readjust our policy. We can come back to the table and sit down and talk, right? No. Before we come to that table, you should first recognize your errors. You cannot sit on a table with people to discuss when you have not recognized your mistake, your ilt, your error against those people. But rather, you embrace your errors, you embrace your mistake, your inhumanity, and says it was good that it happened. You did it to those people. You have no remorse of what you did. That is still hurting them. That today they are still traumatized. And then you say you want to come and sit on the table with them to talk. To talk what? Oh, just last week when we reported, okay? You forced Sudan to pay reparation. You forced Sudan, the American government forced Sudan to pay reparation to Americans who were in Africa that they say they were affected by terrorists. That they say they were affected by terrorist acts in how they call it, the Sahel region, because terrorist attacked Sudan and American in the Sahel region were affected by terrorists. You forced the Sudanese government to pay reparation to those Americans. You gave them a loan and you took that money back and you came and brought it back into America here, right? And then you forced them into debt just to hold them captive. Just to hold them captive, folks. The colonial past is Africa's current state. Just to hold them captive, just to colonize them, to hold them as a colony. But when black people in America here ask for reparation for the same thing and the trauma that they are going through, and you say no, they shouldn't talk about it. But you say African people should pay reparation for the trauma that white America went through that they were in Africa. Nobody forced them there, but you forced African to pay reparation. You forced African on this land, and you failed to get them reparation. Nobody sent them in Africa. You sent them there for their so-called humanitarian work, for your so-called foreign policy. You carry them there to be reconnaissance. You carry them there to be FBI or CIA or to be spies. You carry them there to go get fake news, fake report. And you force African to pay reparation because you say those people were traumatized. But you have not been able to pay the traumatized African in America. That's the kind of democracy you want us to get. And that is why people like these people, they are now following other African platforms to get the true story about the so-called American press of democracy. And these people are here, Barack Obama, playing for all of your statement. Because what you just did, you embarrass yourself, a neo-colonialist.
It's hurtful.
Well, Ghana's the one they always said was the least corrupt, and that's like even the neoliberal rags.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to like trash Ghana if that's what they're saying. They're the ones that the same neoliberals said was like the good one.
So this is not.
You see what is going on here now, right? So these guys are saying the American press have said, oh, Ghana was good, Ghana was this, Ghana was that, right? Because their interests were being protected. But now what they are saying, They are also saying that now Ghana is no longer protecting the LGBT. Ghana said, no, America, we do not need your LGBT. We do not need you to come and tell us what to do. So now they are saying here, what will America then say? Because they say Ghana is the best democratic nation in Africa, right? Or in West Africa. Now they are backing off from the American foreign policy. What can American media or press come and say about Ghana? So these people are in here and just laughing and just having an amazing time, because these people, I can tell you, they will never believe in what the Obama press will say. And that is why hating Obama. And President Obama, you're going to be hurt forever.
Africa is done, it seems like, with the United States, especially now it's turned to Russia and it's turned to China to make peace, to make investments in their continent. The United States just comes in, like they said, and they kill their leaders and meddle in their politics. Remember this? South African politician says he'll pick Putin up from the airport to avoid arrest. So they're not. Africa is turning on the United States. Russia writes off $20 billion in debt to African countries. I thought we were kicking their ass in this Ukraine war and we were crushing their economy, and their economy is so crushed they can write off $20 billion in debt to Africa. Really?
Okay, I'm going to take this out. So again, do you see here, right? What they are saying here is that, oh, I thought the American press, the American mainstream media said Russia and China, they are putting Africa into debt. But how can they be putting Africa into debt? But Russia is canceling debt, 20 billion. That's what Russia have canceled. But here it is, American mainstream media is telling us these people are putting debt, or are putting Africa in debt. When you, America and Europe, are the ones that have put Africa in debt, and you do not want to free them, and you use those debt to continue your colonial past, to hold them captive. But do you know the reason why Africa is going to China and Russia? Because those people are not putting Africa into, how they call it, captives. They are not putting them into debt, but rather they are freeing their debt. They are freeing them. They are giving them free choice of who to make business with. They are not putting sanction on them. They are building infrastructure, technology. But you did not give the people technology. You loaned them money and you took that money back to Africa, to America, and you dictate to them. You put fear in them. Why it is today? So these are people are no longer following the American mainstream media, and Barack Obama is frustrated. But guess what? New flash, Barack Obama, you're going to be frustrated. Let's continue to the next page. Let's continue to the next page. So I brought this in because it's in line with the next issue we're going to discuss. Welcome, Brother Kimba. How you doing? You want to come up? So let's continue with the next page. So let me pull out, we're going to the U.S. Senator, right? So pay attention to what we just discussed about American foreign policy, okay, that Barack Obama spoke about, all right, or about the media as well, that, oh, African, we need to come and sit down together and discuss and blah, blah. And again, bear in mind, all right, bear in mind, what Barack Obama did, it was also for African America here, black people in America here, because election time is coming. So what he was also doing, he's also trying to tell African people in America, oh, you know what? Don't mind what the people say. We understand what's going on. We all need to come on the table and discuss. How many times have we sat on the table. How many times have we discussed with these people? Was it the same Joe Biden that came and said, if you don't vote for me, you are not black enough? If you don't vote for me, you are not African enough? Because I understand. Was it the same Joe Biden that said, I understand your problem more than anybody in the race? Was it the same Joe Biden that told black people, I understand your problem more than anybody in the race? So if you don't vote for me, then you don't understand who you are. Then you don't understand your own situation or what you are going through. But we voted for him, right? What happened? Now it's like he don't only understand who we are. It's like we don't even exist. But just yesterday, when they got ready to pass a bill for the Asian people and to stop what Asian Crime Act or whatsoever, in a blink of an eye, what did they do? They said it was black people going against Asian people. It was black people threatening Asian people. What Joe Biden did, less than an hour, he passed a bill to protect those people. Welcome, Brother Kima. How you doing?
Hey, peace. You know, I'm just jumping in, so I'm trying to catch up with you. But not in regards to what you just said, and peace to everybody that's viewing, you know, this podcast. This idea that the European or white people know what's best for black people goes back to the very inception of this imperialist country and all of these imperialist European nations, right? Who used to justify slavery and colonialism. If you look at their writings, it would say it was sort of like this paternalistic attitude that they had, where, you know, it's in the best interest of the enslaved or the colonized that we direct their future for them, that we, you know, that we are able, we know what's best for them. So if they're not under our power and control, you know, they'll just be running around frivolously and not doing anything, right? Like they won't be building anything. They wouldn't be productive. And actually, like, this was the pretext for the enslavement and colonization of African people in their lands, as well as the Americas, is that, hey, you know, look, they're not being productive. They're not building anything over here. They're not doing anything with this land. You know, we need to come in and tell them, you know, the right religion, the right politic, the right everything, in order for them to live like civilized human beings. Yeah. So, you know, Biden is carrying on that tradition. I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. And that's true. And then how they call it, to enforce that, they use, you know, their puppet, you know, they use Obama. And like I said, from now to 2024, you're going to see a lot of these, you know, talks, okay, video like what Obama did. You're going to see a lot of celebrity, okay, who are puppet. All right, you're going to see a lot of video trying to play the victim game, all right, just to keep them in power. But let's continue on with the page. Let's go to this U.S. Senator as we connect the dot. So as we all knows, right, what's happening, right, and what Obama talked about in our video, right, it is not about working with African people, all right? It is about their influence in Africa is being tampered with and is slowly and gradually dying, okay? Slowly and gradually, decolonization is taking place. Watch out for this.
Well, Joe Biden is weak on foreign policy. We all know this. But USA versus China isn't taking place here or in Beijing. It's actually happening right now in Africa. China owns all the mines. They're quickly building infrastructure all over that continent. And rather than entice these nations to do business.
Sorry, folks. I stopped there, right? So he said USA versus China is not happening in Asia, but rather Africa, right? What he's trying to say here is not actually happening in Taiwan. So you see the conflict you see building up in Taiwan, right? Look, it's not really about Taiwan there, all right? America is taking her frustration against China in Taiwan, but mainly it's about Africa. It's about it. What they want to do is to weaken China in Taiwan, okay? To make China to focus in Taiwan or fighting war, and they won't focus on Africa. That's the plan. And he just said it. It's not taking place in Asia, but it's taking place in Africa.
With us, we're sending, as you see on your screen, our wokest warriors like Stephanie Sullivan to promote racial and gender ideology.
It falls to us, this generation, to recognize the pervasiveness of systemic racism. And it falls to this generation to summon the will to make racism a relic of history. Today, once again, we face such a reckoning. The killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis 5 weeks ago.
Now imagine you're in Africa. Who would you rather do business with? The country that's building all your roads and bridges, or the lady that wants to hang rainbow flags outside the Capitol? Let's find the answer to that question, because there is a vote taking place right now on the floor of the Senate over whether or not this should be the image put forward by the United States of America to Africa. Let's bring in the senator from Ohio, J.D. Vance. Senator, thank you so much for being with us tonight. As I understand it, you just left the floor where this was up for vote. Let's get from you exactly how that's going and how this is going to help us to win over Africans in this geopolitical battle with China over global dominance and global influence.
Yeah, well, I objected, and I think that it's important that we have a full debate in the Senate, because we have a foreign policy right now, I hate to say it, from the Biden administration that's based on hectoring and moralizing. It's based on taking the most radical far-left ideas and basically building a moralizing foreign policy around that, instead of trying to make a trade with people where they get something good and we get something good in return. It's a complete dereliction of duty. It's terrible for our foreign policy. And to your point, if you're in Ghana, what do you want? A lecture from a woke white woman in America, or do you want somebody to help you build hospitals, roads, and bridges? It's an easy answer. And the fact that we're sending so many diplomats to Africa and other places who can't answer the question the right way is really troubling. And we need to, at least in this country, have a debate about it.
Yeah, and Senator, I think we already know it's not a hypothetical, right? We have already lost much of Africa to China and their influence and their roads and bridges and their allegiance among these African countries. And I would have to think, woke ideology, gender identity and gender fluidity and these types of issues, it's not exactly within the wheelhouse of these countries in Africa where they are very devout Christians and or Muslims.
That's exactly right. I mean, they see this as cultural imperialism. The Americans are coming in and trying to force foreign values down their throats, whereas the Chinese are coming out and helping them with economic development. And yet it's already having very negative consequences, because a lot of the minerals, a lot of the resources we need for the 21st century economy, the Chinese are gobbling this stuff up through our diplomacy. And we're standing over here saying that you need to post the right flag outside of your embassy, or you're not going to get full respect from your American diplomats and your American so-called friends. Here's the really crazy part about this. If you step back and think about how important the American military is to our entire diplomacy, both the threat of American military power and, of course, sometimes the reality of American military power, do we really think that the majority of American troops are fighting and dying because they want the trans pride flag to hang in Ghana? Of course not. And even if you disagree with me on the transgender issue, this is an American debate to be had in America, not to force it down the throats of other countries.
Yeah, within the end, a cost to America. If China wins Africa, we're on our way to losing the world. Senator, great so much to talk to you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brother Kiba, what you gotta say?
Hey, I know you about to lay it down, Frank, but come on, man. Like this, but this race. I mean, he basically talking about the scramble for Africa. Like, where's that? He could have at least had an African on the panel. Like, like we Africans are still not at the table. They sitting back having these conversations about winning Africa and who's doing what and losing Africa. But I think what it does highlight too is the importance of Africa. Everybody knows, how central or how vital Africa is to global society, to the rest of the world. As Africa goes, the rest of the world goes. And so, it's sad when we have some of these Africans who've been so indoctrinated by Western, society that they align themselves with the imperialists and don't even want to identify themselves as being an African people, right? That's another story. But yeah, I mean, I just thought it was interesting that they're having this conversation on Fox News about Africa as if Africa is theirs to win. But yeah, I know you're gonna go in, Frank, man.
So it's two dimensions to this whole video, right? The first dimension here is they started from America here first. Do you remember when J.A. Hooker said Negro unity is a threat to America, right? To Europe, to the colonizer, to the imperialists? This is what he meant. So you saw the first lady, he talked about systemic racism, to get rid of systemic racism, right? To eradicate systemic racism. Now, let me tell you this. That came from America here. So, over the years, right? They have already had that narrative of Black people in America are taught. So they will go on the African continent. They will tell the African on the continent not to have any affiliation with Black people in America here, because Black people in America are taught they are gangster, they are looter, they are smoker, they are bad, they are this, they are that. And then come in America here and then tell the Black people here, man, African people, they are savage. Right? But guess what? What's going on now is that Black people in America here, they themselves have waked up by their own bootstrap to go on the African continent by themselves to see for themselves. And these are people who are even making videos on TikTok, on YouTube, talking about the greatness of Africa, talking about how they were lied to, how they were deceived by systemic racism. All right? What they say about Africa, that's not how Africa is. In fact, they are more welcome. In fact, there are a lot of YouTube video, okay, where Black people have left from America here, the free land, okay, gone to Africa, and they have land, they have bought land, okay, and they build their own houses or house there, and they live there. And in fact, they talk about freedom. They say, in fact, if you want to understand what freedom is, go on the African continent. So, and they are seeing all these videos, and they are seeing the connection, how African on the African continent, along with African and diaspora, are connecting, are uniting, are discussing, right? So it's getting to them. That is why they said, first of all, we got to get rid of systemic racism. Well, we don't care whether you get rid of it. You don't get rid of it. We don't care. We are moving. You can keep it. That's your business. Now, the next aspect of the video, right? They have always said African people depend on the West. I'm surprised for these folks to say it on mainstream media, to say the United States depend on Africa, to say Europe depend on Africa, to say anybody in the 21st century that supersede in Africa, that means you become a superpower. For them to sit and say if America lose Africa, then America will fall, America will fail, man. All I can say is to the African leaders, I don't even have to explain much. The power is in your hands. The power of African people lies in you guys' hands. The freedom of African people lies in you guys' hands. I said you guys because you guys are the one in authority. I don't make policy. I don't make law. Like what in Kumba, I don't make policy. You don't make law. You guys are the one in power that make these policy, that make these laws. You guys are the one to make Africa the superpower. So the ball is in your hands now. Because these people have realized it. That without Africa, they fall and they fail. These are the same people that have been telling African people, if you don't like it here, go back to Africa. You force these people to come to America. You put them on board. And you tell them to go back if they don't like it. They did not come here by their wedding mind. They did not come here like how other people came here. They came here through forced migration. You force them here and you want to take them back to Africa by force? No. Everything they have labored for, everything they have worked for, pay them back. And now they will decide if they want to go by ship, by boat, or by plane. Pay every cent they have labored for. Everything they have worked for, pay them back. And now leave them if they will go or not. But don't sit here and tell them, if you don't like it, go back to where you're coming from. But guess what? Don't worry. They will go back to where they are coming from. But when they go back, don't go to them and tell them, you know, we were one brother. We lived in the same community before, right? You know, yeah, I will live in Oklahoma. We live in New York. We work at the same business. And, you know, we are friends. We are brother. We are sister. Don't tell them. Because if you do that, it will tell you, yeah, go back to your free land. So, this is what we're talking about. We need the African unity. And this is what Obama don't like. Because he's seeing Africans are coming together, are uniting. And Africans are no longer listening to the narrative of the mainstream media that African in America are taught. African in Africa are savage or savages. They live in trees. Nkima, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, nah, I agree. But if anything, you know, if anybody has to go somewhere, it's the European, man. You know, the European needs to go back. The European needs to go back to Europe. They have no business telling any group of people, any person to go back where they came from. You know, they're the ones, if they have an issue, which they have historically had an issue with African people, with the indigenous people of Australia, the Americas, all over, right? If they have such an issue with them, then why did they come to these lands in the first place? And this is why understanding colonialism is so important. Like if they feel that they're so superior and they don't want to be around us, then you should have stayed in Europe. But what it is that there's this motivation to dominate, you know, to dominate the rest of the world, to control the rest of the world, so that they can secure their power and control, right, through the acquisition of resources, which accumulate or translates into wealth. The you know, with this going into Africa again, with this talk about, you know, China we're losing Africa to China. We already went over that, right? But again, if we're talking about racism, if it's this racism, why are you coming to Africa if you have an issue with Africans? All of that is disguising like their true motivation, right? Which is, to capture they already captured it, but they, when we think about it, but they want to dominate it even more because Africans, at the end of the day, Africans is still under African feet. We're in a strategic position. If we get the right leaders in positions of power, right? Because we're in a strategic position to be able to say, hey, now this is what we're doing with our resources now, right? And so that's what we need to do, man. But we can't do that if we continue this relationship with these Europeans. But that's the motivation, because all of this thought, if these people have a racist ideology, but that racist ideology is not stopping them from integrating into African spaces. And it never has, stopped them from, but once they integrate into those spaces, they want to dominate those spaces. And they don't, and they tell us they're doing these things for our own good or public good. We have to, it's 2023. We're smarter than that. We're not falling for those traps anymore. At least the masses of people. That's why we have to get organized. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that is what we're going to do. And that is what we will do. So let's look at another video, right? I may not play all, but this same senator is also discussing as to why other nations are disagreeing or disengaging themselves with the United States. And he's also explaining how the fall of the US is just around the corner. Because as a nation, in order to survive, you have to have an ally. You have to have someone who will be by your side, okay? Someone who will stick with you, someone who will come to your aid. It's just like we human beings. We all need somebody to be there for you at some point of time. All right? So this senator is also saying, because of the American foreign policy and their influence in other nations, their influence have led to nations don't want to see America as their ally, but rather they are turning to other nations who are not America's ally.
Influenced and affected by the decisions that we made a month before I enlisted in the Marine Corps and just a few months before I graduated from high school. And let me tell you, I changed my mind on this. When I was a young high school student, I read books, I consumed information. I watched Sean Hannity debate Alan Colmes back in the day, if any of you remember that. And I remember thinking to myself that what we would do in Iraq was transform it from a horrible dictatorship into a flowering democracy. And I hate to say that didn't happen. And I also hate to say, not just that it didn't happen, not just that some of us were wrong, myself very much at the top of the list, even though I was only a high school student, but the people who were most wrong suffered no consequences, and the American foreign policy establishment has learned zero lessons from what is perhaps the most unforced and catastrophic error in the history of this country. Trillions. We spent trillions of dollars. We killed thousands of Americans and more Iraqis. We eradicated the oldest Christian population in the world, all in the service of increasing the power of Iran and putting our ally Israel under greater threat. And yet the people who pursued that policy, the people who pushed it, still have cushy think tank jobs, thankfully not here. They still have great media consultantships. They make a lot of money and they have a lot of prestige. I think it's time to throw those ideas on the ash heap of history and tell the people who made the mistakes of 20 years ago, we're not going to let you make them again in 2023. I mean, just think about this. People that, I mean, I know a lot of you in this room, and I'm sure a lot of you have different views on foreign policy, but think about all the people that 20 years ago, 10 years ago, we thought of as friends and allies in the conservative movement. People like Bill Kristol, people like David Frum, right? Now, maybe all of you knew more than I did at the time, but these guys were people who I thought knew everything. They knew exactly what we needed to do in American foreign policy. It doesn't bother me that they were wrong. What is that they've suffered no consequences. Think about this. If you had been put in a position of power where you had advocated for a catastrophic decision in your company, in your personal life, in your business, certainly at the height of American foreign policy, don't you think you should suffer some consequences when you screw it up? That common sense? This is maybe the most important lesson of Iraq, is that the people who drive our foreign policy very often don't know what they're doing, but they suffer no consequences when they're wrong. We in this room need to change that. We need to make sure that the people who have made catastrophic mistakes at the very least have to apologize for it before they advocate the next catastrophic mistake for the next generation. How about that? But if lesson one from Iraq is that we should stop rewarding people who get us into the wrong situations again and again, lesson two is that there is something, I think, in the heart of every American, an admirable thing in the heart of every American, this love of freedom, this love of democracy, this love of liberty. And ladies and gentlemen, we have to recognize that while I believe that that fire is alive in the heart of every American, that doesn't mean it's alive in the heart of every other person all across the world. We cannot take American values and force them on people who don't want them. And we have to stop running our foreign policy based on moral slogans instead of on cold, hard reality. Remember, Iraq was all about freedom, liberty, and democracy. It was all about bringing the American way of life to Iraq. And yet what we actually got out of it was Iran. Iran becoming even more powerful than they were 20 years ago. That is what happened because we weren't thinking. We were too busy talking about moral slogans. It was a disaster. Now let's go back, let's move forward a little bit, because I think we need to apply these lessons importantly to a new conflict in a new war that a lot of people in this town think America should get more involved in. And frankly, we're learning apparently that America already maybe has troops on the ground in Ukraine. Ladies and gentlemen, get America out of Ukraine. Get American troops out of Ukraine. It is a disaster for this country. Now, why is it a disaster for this country? Because I want to be clear and I want to be specific. Look, I admire the brave Ukrainians as much as any person in this room or any person in this town. They have, against incredible odds, fought a very terrible enemy, and they have fought bravely. But let's not mistake the courage of the Ukrainian troops on the ground with the fact that they have the most corrupt leadership and corrupt government in Europe, and maybe the most corrupt leadership anywhere in the world. Can any person here, I'm a U.S. senator, and I don't know the answer to this question, where have the $130 billion that we spend in Ukraine, where have they gone? We don't know. It hasn't been properly tracked. And when U.S. senators and congressmen try to find out the answer, the Biden administration shuts us down. But here's where, set aside the fact that we don't have enough money in this country. Why are we spending $130 billion on Ukraine when we can't even pay our own bills at home? Set that to the side and let's talk about the most important part of this war. Now, I've been an advocate for a very long time that America, we need.
All right, so let's stop down there and carry on the discussion. But Brother Kim, I don't know if he's still coming on. But again, did you see what he said? First of all, let's go back when he was younger, right? Let's go back to where he said when he was young in school, right? Things he was taught about other country. He believed it at that time he was young. Now, we said something about the American press or the mainstream media, right? That's the same way the American educational system works. So he said all he learned in school about Iraq, when he joined the military and went to Iraq and he fought the war, he came back, he realized that it was all lies. All those policies, the people in office there that draft these policies are not good policies. They are policies that deceive people. Now, again, where is Barack Obama? Can Barack Obama come and ask the senator? Because Barack Obama is telling us to believe in the press, to believe in the media, to believe in the educational system, to believe in an indoctrinated system that has been passed down, systematically passed down. But here is a senator. So wait, America is contradicting herself or what? Because a former president who knows everything, who knows how to speak, who knows how to talk, because that is what he's good at. So they know Obama is good at talking. He's good at speaking, right? He knows how to convince black people. Like I said, he is an entertainer. So they use him. But here it is. Wait a minute. Here is a senator that's saying, that telling Barack Obama, oh no, those policies that you guys made was bad for us. And because it was bad for us, that is why America is getting the treatment she's getting. That is why nations are going against, in fact, I don't want to say against. That is why nations are leading. The reason why I'm not using against is because if I am fighting for my interests, my salvation, my freedom, that doesn't mean I'm going against you. All right? So where is Obama? This is a senator that said everything he learned in school about Iraq was lie. This is a senator that said the American foreign policy, it killed thousands of American soldiers in Iraq. The American foreign policy, it killed thousands of Iraqi innocent people, men, women, children, and it destroyed the people's civilization. American foreign policy. So this is a man that said the American foreign policy is dangerous to those that live in that land. This is a man that said, Barack Obama, the American foreign policy destroyed Libya. The American foreign policy killed innocent Libyan. The American foreign policy put innocent Libya in poverty, in captivity. The American foreign policy destroyed Libya to the extent today, Libyans are dying from starvation. Unlike Gaddafi, Libyans did not die from starvation. Unlike Gaddafi, Libyans did not struggle to go to school. Unlike Gaddafi, Libyans have access to their oil, to their resources. Unlike Gaddafi, Libya took pay without work because of their natural resources, their gas or their oil. Unlike Gaddafi, Libyan had free housing. Oh, your democratic nation, where is the free housing? Where are the free housing? Where are the free education? Where are the free medical services? Unlike Gaddafi, there were free medical services. You don't have to pay a damn. But you said that form of government was bad for the people. You needed the American form of government, democracy for the people, which was 10 times, 100 times better. Where it is. So this is what this senator is talking about. That's why nations are drifting away from America, because the American foreign policy is dangerous. It's toxic. It kills. It's racist. It dehumanizes people. The American foreign policy. There is no fair share. There is no fairness. It's oppressive. It booted people. The American foreign policy does not recognize the people that live in our entity. is exploitative, the American foreign policy. That is what this senator is talking about. And he have come to realize that those that make those decisions 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years ago, they did not make good policy for America. And that is why America have come, or America is getting to a place where she's now beginning to harvest the seed she sowed. Maybe Barack Obama, you have not got it yet. Maybe, I believe, Barack Obama, you need to go and sit with this senator and have a dialogue with him. Ask him, what do you mean? And let him tell you. You're here to protect white supremacy. You're here to protect white supremacy. You are not part of us. Because we are also going to decolonize you, just how we are decolonizing white supremacy or the system. But we say we'll decolonize you. We will not listen to you. We don't need you to come and become a public speaker for us, or to come in our community. We don't need you. Go there. We will treat you just how we treat the colonialists. We don't care whether your skin is like this. We are not up for that again. So that is what's happening. And this is, I mean, they themselves are seeing the downfall of America. Nobody hate America. People are just reacting. And whenever people react to your behavior, don't think that they hate you. Don't think they hate you. They are reacting to your behavior. They don't like your behavior. And if I don't like your behavior, I have to react in different ways. That is what's happening. Nobody hate America. So what you are experiencing is something you did 100 years ago. You got to pay for your sin. No sin go unpunished. No sin go unpunished. You got to pay for your sin. Don't you get it? You got to pay for it. Oh, but I didn't do it. My parent did it. Yes, your parent did it, but you are enjoying the fruit of what your parent did. You are living off the riches of what your parent did. Your parent raped in order for you to be rich, and you are living out of that rape of another person. You are living out of that torture of another person. You are living out of that beating of another person. You are living out of that humiliation of another person. The proceed, the inheritance for that land, you are living off it. So you got to go through it. You are living off that sin, that sinful act. And you have no remorse of that sinful act. And you acknowledge that sinful act to say slavery was good. You acknowledge it. You acknowledge that colonization was good because it put you to a position in which you are in today. Then how can you say, I didn't do it. I was not there. My parent did it. How can you hold me responsible for what my parent did? Oh, yes. What you did to our parent, we are also feeding it. We are also living it because our parents were unable to set that foundation for us. The foundation your parents set for you or set for you, our parents, our forefathers were unable to set that foundation for us. So henceforth, we are feeding it. We are living our trauma. We are living our poverty. We are living that time. We are still living that time. And you are living the time your forefather set for you so that you can live in poverty. Do you see how it is? We are still living that time. And you are living that time in heaven. Because this is your heaven. You are living your heaven. So before you come out to say, my father grandfather did it. My forefather did it. My ancestor did it. I didn't do it. I was not born. We were never born at that time too. But why are we living the trauma? Why are we living what they went through? You saw them as 3/5 of a lesser human being. Are you not still seeing us as a 3/5 of a lesser human being? You saw them as inferior. Are you not still seeing us as inferior? You carry police brutality on them. Are you not still carrying police brutality on us? You kill their kings and queens. Are you not still killing our democratic leaders? What are you talking about? You infested them with syphilis. Are you not still putting disease in us in this current time? You use them for experiment. Are you not still using experiment on us? What are you talking about? So before you come out to say, my parent did it, I didn't do it, be careful, because we will checkmark you. We will put you in your place. We will educate you. We will position you. So yes, we have the right. We have the right to go to other people we want to partner with. We have the right to say, America, bye-bye. We have the right to say, Europe, bye-bye. How long we're going to give you a chance? How long we're going to forgive your sin? But you cannot recognize your sin. But you live off your sin and embrace your sin. And then you ask her to forgive you. How can we forgive you when you are living off your sin? When you embrace your sin? When you don't want to disengage with your sin, you don't want to let go your sinful heart, and then you asking her to forgive you. It doesn't work that way. Forgiveness means you acknowledge what you did and you will never do it again. You will never repeat it again. Even if not physically, but you will never be sophisticated in doing what you did. Let's continue. I'm glad you are aware of the American foreign policy being dangerous. How did you know, Eva? When did you come to realize that it's dangerous? Or when we're waking up? When we are uniting? When we are telling you bye-bye? When we are telling you, yes, let's segregate? When we agree to you, okay, let's separate. You go for separation. Now we want to separate. And you say, oh, no. You know, we can't separate. Let's coexist. You know, let's get on the table. No. You said we should segregate. You say, okay. But when you said these things, when you brought these policies, we told you, don't do it. We told you it's inhumane. We told you we don't want it. He said, okay. You force it on us. Black on it. I mean, white on it, no black. You put sign. You make sample. You put poster all around. But when time comes, we say, okay, let's do it. And then you come back, oh no, we're going to take the sun down. You know what? We're going to take the sun. Now, it may not be the physical sun like our forefathers them days, but racism is the sun. You don't have to put a sun there. Well, I can't get an apartment in certain area. It happened to our forefather. It still happened today. Even though the sun may not be there. But you will tell me my credit card not good, my credit score not good. Or you will tell me I need to have certain amount of money in my account. These things, that's a sign. Now you still telling me, black, don't allow here. Do you understand the danger of American foreign policy? The American foreign policy go back to slavery, go back to colonization. It just been sophisticated. You just been manipulating it. You just been manipulating the system, that system. You just been manipulating it. That's all you've been doing. You just been changing, adding, here, little there. Okay? And it just been working in your favor. That's all. But your foreign policy, it started from slavery. That's it. It started from slavery, your foreign policy. It started from there. It didn't start from 1776, July 4th. That's not where it started from. Because if it was going to start from that, slavery was never going to end 1865. If it started from 1776, July 4th, slavery was never going to end 1865. So don't think you know the issue more than the people who lived the issue, who experienced the issue, who went through the issue, who are still through the issue. You didn't live it. Then you think you want to you want to tell the people who live it, you know it more than them. We don't have to read book. We don't have to read book to tell you the issue. But you have to read. We don't have to read. You have to read because you don't live it. You have never experienced it. So you have to read to know how it is. We don't have to read because we live it. So we know how it is. Let's continue. The colonial's past is Africa, current state. But the table is turning. We are not going to put anybody on a boat. Africans will not put anyone on a boat. We will not lynch anyone. No. All we're going to do is we're just going to unite. We're just going to walk. That's all. We're just going to walk. We're just going to dance. They see what we dance when we're happy. We call on the forefather, our great forefather. We call on them. We dance and they dance with us. That's all we're going to do. We don't care whether you fight to eliminate racism. That's your business. We don't care whether you change your foreign policy. That's your business. It have already been made known to you. If you lost Africa, or if you lose Africa, you lost. You become a third world country. Your empire failed. So why you think we are coming to work with you to say, let's eliminate racism? No, we don't care. Because we already know what the problem is. It has been made clear. The problem is not about we working together and trying to eliminate. It will never be eliminated as long we work together. Never. Because in 1884 Berlin Conference, you know what was said there? It was said the system that was put in place, it was said that Africa and her descendants will never rise, will never know peace. Because if they know what peace is, if they rise, then that means we fall. That means our descendants fail or they will fall. So if we know that, why do you think you will come to us to tell us if we coexist, then we'll eradicate racism, we'll eliminate racism? It will never be. Because if it was going to be, after July 4th, 1776, slavery was going to end. Okay, well, let's forget about that. If it was going to be, after 1865, there was never going to be Jim Crow. There was never going to be Jim Crow. But again, let's just leave that. After 1865, if you really wanted to eliminate racism for it to coexist, you were never going to create zip code. Because zip code then came in so that black people will remain to where they are. Okay, stay there. We give you some kind of a freedom, but stay where you are. Don't come to where we are. Because our institution that we have built through your suffering, your humiliation, don't come to those institutions. Let our children stay there. Don't mix with us. Racism was never going to continue. Racism was going to end there. Okay, but let's fall back. You told us slavery ended. But come to find out, slavery did not end. That 13th Amendment did not end slavery. So how are you going to eliminate racism? When these things did not end, how are you going to really erase it? We already know where the solution is. And you know what the solution is. It's Africa. Any nation in this 21st century, your own people said it, any nation that don't have part of Africa, that nation is doomed to fail. So we don't have to coexist. We don't even have to eliminate racism. Why we want to waste our breath on things that is not necessary? Why we want to waste our energy on things that is not necessary? We have fought in the past to eliminate racism. It never worked. And now we are finding new direction. And then you want to take us back. We are moving forward. You want to take us back. Stupidity will make us to go back. We wasted our energy. We wasted our time. Even Dr. King wasted his time fighting for integration with the system, fighting to end racism. You did not do it. In fact, because of that, you killed Dr. King. Because of that, you killed Dr. King. That's what Dr. King fought for, to eliminate racism. You killed him. You killed him by the time he realized that it was never going to work. Even Dr. King told us it's not going to work. Racism will not end by we working together. He said it. How did he say it? He said he made a mistake by his dream speech. He said, I fear that I let my people down with that dream speech. And he said, I fear that I have led my people into burning fire with that speech. I had the dream. He said, our dream did not come to reality. It will not come to reality. If I had known, I was never going to give that dream, because I feel that I have failed my people. I have led my people into burning fire. That's what he said. So why do you want to take us back when Dr. King said, all we need is to unite and go by what they want: segregation, separation. And by the time he realized that, you killed him, because you knew he was a powerful figure. And it was going to take no time to make his people to understand. Racism will not end as long we are together. Why you want to take us back? No. We are moving forward. Forward forever. That Nkrumah said. Forward forever. Backward never. Let's continue. Africa colonial past is Africa current state. But we are moving forward, folks. That current state, we are turning it over. Let's see another video here. That might be the last video. for today. So let's see some of the policy of American foreign policy. Foreign policy, European foreign policy. Let's see some of the things that I have done on the African continent. So when you are telling us, my forefather did it, I didn't do it, I wasn't there, I wasn't born, what do I have to go through the punishment for that? Your forefather laid down a system for you, and you continue with that system. So that is what the sin of your forefather is on you. And you'll be judged by it. And judgment day is here.
Looking pretty at all. If you look at now Africa is not looking pretty at all. If you look at North Africa and you see the state of war between the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic and Morocco, that's a red signal. Then of course you see the emergence of Islamic insurgents also in North Africa. Then, of course, there's the Azawid, the movement for the establishment of the Azawad Republic in the Sahel. That's very troubling. We know about the situation in Ethiopia, which is very, very troubling. We know about Nigeria. Nigeria is so troubling because Nigeria alone has half the population of West Africa. And the instability in Nigeria could cripple the whole of West Africa. And you have the Niger Delta low-intensity civil war. You have the Boko Haram insurrection in the northeast. You have the secessionist movement in the east, Biafra, and so on. It's just a complete mess. Now we know also about the Islamic insurgents operating in Burkina, Mali, Guinea, and so on. And we know that last year, the northern frontiers of Benin was attacked by these insurgents. And then northern Togo was also attacked by these insurgents. So it's a very serious situation. 16 years after independence, Africa appears to be breaking apart. And it's important for us to find out why Africa is appearing to break apart. And of course, the only reason is that those forces which are responsible for apartheid, those forces which are responsible for our colonization, and those very forces which are responsible for the transatlantic slave trade and so on, are determined to stay and to steal our resources. And perhaps they figure that the only way of doing that is to destabilize Africa. Now, the question then is, what do revolutionary and progressive forces in Africa do in the light of this onslaught on Africa by the imperialist forces? And I'd like to submit that our duty today as African revolutionaries, our duty today as African patriots and so on, is to mobilize across boundaries, to mobilize the working people, to mobilize the peasants, to constantly be raising the consciousness of our people by references to our history, references to the current mechanism for exploitation and so on.
The special election for state representative in Delaware County will decide which party controls the legislature.
We need to build unity across our borders, and we need to build strong organizations which will stand up in the face of these aggressive maneuvers by the forces of imperialism.
If we really have to emancipate ourselves, we must look at our educational systems. Our educational system does not allow us to think critically. And this were all the machination of the colonialists. Look at Ghana, we're colonized by the United Kingdom. Do they have the kind of education system we go through? No. So I think that it's a good conversation we have to start together. And you ask about the source of the weapons they use in Sudan, because Sudan is a very poor country. Indeed, it's true. The leader of the SIF is so wealthy because he has control over some illegal mines, and that is his source of wealth. And there's a Russian mining company, and that is even the reason why the Wagner Group is in Sudan as we speak, to protect the interests of the distant. And you must also realize something, and Comrade Chrissy mentioned it. They target areas that are rich in some specific natural resources they so desire, and they destabilize that place and get whatever they want to get. An example is Libya. You see, the oil in Sudan is in South Sudan. That was the reason why they fought for the independence of South Sudan.
All right, sorry, folks, I call that because I want to make some references, right? So again, so you have seen it from the first presenter. So now you understand why we said Africa colonial past is Africa current state, right? So you saw it from the first presenter, what he said. He mentioned places. And he said all these wars, right, are caused by the people who colonized Africa, are caused by the people who enslaved Africa. So the war you see in Africa, it is not by coincidence. It has been supported and funded by the same colonizer. So how can they come out to say Paul Kagame is the one that's supporting the rebel in Rwanda? Paul Kagame does not have resources for that. He might have resources, but what I'm telling here is Paul Kagame does not have resources for that. War is very expensive. But how come the M23 rebels, they are succeeding? How can the M23 rebel have foreign militaries, equipment? Those are equipment not from Rwanda. Rwanda is not making equipment of such, if they are making equipment. Okay? So you see, the policy from colonial time, from enslavement time, that's the same policy still going on the African continent. All these proxy wars are for what? The exploitation of mineral resources. Now, the second presenter said, first of all, Sudan, Southern Sudan was part of Sudan. But it was the same United States. Last week we talked about it. The United States, UK, and UN fought for South Sudan to be separate from Sudan because South Sudan was part of Sudan that have all the resources, mostly when you talk about the sea, the oil, the gold, the lithium, iron ore, all of them in our region of Sudan, which is today South Sudan. Because America wanted to control that part. In order to have control, she have to fight or to make it separate. Let me tell you this. You know, Somalia and Somaliland. Somali is part of Somalia. So how do you call it? Somalia, right? Somaliland is part of Somalia. All right? Somaliland over the year have fought for independence. And they have asked the United Nations, in the UN, for Somali land to be separate from Somali. America did not agree. UN did not agree. UK did not agree because you know what? They have no interest in Somaliland. As for now, yet, they have no interest. Yet, they don't have interest in Somaliland to go exploit. That's why they were silent. That's why they didn't do nothing. But again, that goes to the African people. We are mumu. We are stupid. We know that these people always use divide and conquer. We know that these people always have our interests only because there is something they are looking at. When you see these people coming and telling you that they have their interest, they want to fight for you, they want to do this, they are not coming to fight for you, or they don't have your interest. There is something they are looking at to benefit from. So they fought for South Sudan to be independent, to be separate from Sudan. So they left Sudan, boom, and Sudan have nothing but everything in South Sudan. Now the two generals split, and one of them control the seaport. One of them control as well as the ore, where they have the ore, the mineral resources. And the person that control, the general that control it, Dongali, he went to the Russian. He said, I need equipment. We need technology. We need you to come in to help us with equipment, technology, to manufacture our resources, to build us. Because when we are under America, we will not be built. We will not get equipment, we will not get technology. Our people will be in abject poverty while America continue to loot our resources. That's where the fighting is coming from. So bring in China, bringing in Russia is a problem to America interest, to Europe interest, to United Nations interest, the so-called United Nations. It's a problem to their interest. So that is why there is war in Sudan. So that's what the first speaker said. All the war you see in Africa, it is as the result of the colonial policy, colonial interests. They are the one creating these wars. It is where all these Islamic groups coming from. As we presented last week, what did America tell South Sudan? If you agree with this policy that we are giving you, with this agreement we are giving you, we will make your nation free terrorist. But if you don't agree, your nation will not be free terrorist. Then who control the terrorists? Who support the terrorists? It's not them. Because if I say no, terrorists continue. If I say yes, automatically terrorists stop. Then who control the terrorists? Who's supporting the terrorists? Africa colonial past is Africa current state. And that is what African leaders need to pay attention. They made mistake by having foreign armies. They made mistake by having Africa on the African continent. Right now, as we speak, America's highest military in the world is on the African continent, not in America now, because that's their home. But I mean, other places, it's on the African continent. That's where they have the highest military. They have the highest military, but Africans are still dying by war, by terrorists. They are not fighting for Africans. Why their militaries are there? If they are there to protect Africans, to fight for Africans. Why are their military there? But their military are there to protect where they have the resources. That was one of the biggest and stupid and dumpiest mistake African people did, to allow foreign military in Africa. Instead of them building the African military, they allow colonial military on the African continent. The same people that enslave you, they never fought for you, they enslave you. They castrate you. They rape you. They say you are 3/5 of a lesser human being. Their cattle were invaluable over you. They never fought or died for you. Do you think they will come and die for you? Do you think they will come and fight for you? After they enslave you, after you build their nation, then they came by to colonize you again. Insult upon insult. Insult upon insult. They colonized you again, and they took your resources. They took your land to equip the nation or the continent you have built for them. Insult upon insult. Then what do you think? They will come back tomorrow to come and fight for you. Fight for who are they fighting against you? Who are they fighting against you? Who fighting you? When you get independent, and well, because of them, you fought for independence. You were fighting them for independence. Who did you fight? Did you fight China? Did you fight Russia? You fought America. You fought Europe to get independent. And as you are fighting America and fighting Europe, America CIA, Europe CIA, FBI, we are killing those leaders that was fighting for democracy for Africa. So how can these same people come by and tell you we want to come and put boot on the African continent to help fight for you? What kind of stupidness is that? All these foreign military need to be out of the continent. What you need is to build your own military. What you need is to unite the continent and have one superpower of Africa. That's it. And they will fight for Africa. Let's continue.
Sudan itself doesn't hold oil resources. That's why they are not interested. If you cast your mind back in Iraq, they made Trump up allegations because of oil. After getting what they want, Saddam Hussein is out. Why is the West no longer interested in Iraq? So we must wake up as Africans and we must learn to trade among one another. It saddens me that Ghana, how many are we? Look at the natural resources we have. If we want to judiciously use our natural resources, we won't go and borrow money anywhere. Unfortunately, we are the IMF and we are not alone. So the Sudan situation should be a wake-up call. There are pockets of this kind of paramilitary forces.
Can't go? Do this to clear out stuck poop fast. Fiber helps you poop, right?
Waiting to enucleate, and it's because our leaders are failing us. And I dare say that we are a reflection of how our political leaders treat us. Because politicians, I know what they are afraid of is the ballot box. Unfortunately, we, the youth, are the future leaders of tomorrow. When they do this nonsense, who consume those things? It is us. We jump to the media at the least opportunity to defend the indefensible. And all of these things will snowball one day and we are all inside. Unfortunately, the forefathers who fought for our independence, I know definitely will be rolling in their graves. Because what they set up for, the sacrifices they made, the foundations they made, we have turned the clock anti-clockwise and we are back to where they started. And at this stage, we don't even know how to figure it out. Just look at West Africa. Look at Togo. Look at Benin. Look at Mali. Look at Niger. Look at Burkina Faso. Look at Cote d'Ivoire, the hypocrisy of the French people when they removed Gbagbo, that he was subverting the will of the people. When Alassane Ouattara came, he's running his third term. And I dare say that he can run a fourth term and no one will talk. So Africans, we must wake up and the time is now. Thank you.
Africa is not yet easy. So President of Uganda, President Yoweri Museveni has highlighted
So this is what President Museveni said, okay, of Uganda. So he said, we must discover who is pursuing illegitimate aim in the Sudan situation, aim which are not principle. Who is it? These wars don't only kill people, they also kill the future of the people. So in other words, he knows the war in Sudan is not just two generals wake up and they start fighting. He knows He know who's supporting the war. They know who behind these things. It's not for nothing. They know that there are foreign influence or foreign hands or foreign power into this. He says, you found that someone has built up a small business in Cotonou or Kampala, and then you start a war. What happened to this business? Or what happened to his business? Are you going to compensate him? Or he is going to start afresh? When he had already built up some capacity. Therefore, this war not only kill people, but also kill the future of people, the opportunity. So what happened here? I have an article here. I'm going to bring it out. I'm going to bring it out of what he says, so we can actually see it clear. All right. So in our article, he said the war in Sudan is not just Sudanese or local people who are fighting. And he said they might do something. I mean, look, listen to this. We saw what happened. We saw what happened in Ethiopia, right? With the TPLF. Who supported the TPLF? America. America went and supported the TPLF against the Ethiopian government. So why do you think Sudan issue, no foreign hands in it? In Libya, it was foreign hands that destroyed Libya today. In DRC Congo, since 1884, DRC Congo is still in a chaos. But here it is. It is the same people who put DRC in 1884 in a situation. They are the same people coming to tell us that Paul Kagame is the reason for the destruction of DRC Congo. As we know, since 1884, DRC Congo have never known peace. We know it was America that planned a coup in Guinea. They themselves said it. We know it was America that planned a coup in Mali. They themselves said it. So why do you think the war in Sudan, in South Sudan, is free, or it's just two general fighting? So Museveni said, war kill people, destroy property, right? So let's read right here. Let's read. He said, head of state cannot just go on pampering over issues when people are dying. Let me go down here quick. Okay. Ugandan President Museveni come out to speak on the ongoing conflict in Sudan. He said in a speech during a virtual IGAT summit, said such war kill people, destroy people, and opportunity. This war not only kill people, but also kill the future of people, the opportunity, he said. Museveni said it is important to know who among the conflicting party is person of illegitimate aim. Okay? Who is among the conflicting party, the two generals? Who is among them that is doing the illegitimate aim? Who is working with a foreign entity? Let's continue here. He said we must discover who is pursuing illegitimate aim in a Sudan situation in which are not principle. Who is it? He said that head of state can just go on pampering over issues when people are dying. That means he's also blaming the African nations, right? He's saying African nations don't bring solution. They just go over one another over things. They don't discuss things, but people are dying because foreign hands are in it. Foreign weapons, foreign money are in it. This war don't only kill people, they also kill the future of the people. He questioned who would compensate businesses or business people who lose their assets during such war. He said he is in support of an immediate ceasefire and disarmament of the fighting forces. I condemn all this misuse of force in a situation which need dialogue, and dialogue only by African. Because if it is influenced by the West, there is no dialogue until it is in the interest of the West. He said, there ought to be no renewed fighting in Sudan. That means there is nothing like you. He's trying to say that to go renew any, how they call it, interest. Okay, this needs to be done. This needs to be like. Look, let me tell you something. Museveni know that the war in Sudan, it have foreign influence in it, because we know how South Sudan. Let's say South Sudan. We know how South Sudan got independent, and we know how South Sudan got in captivity with America. So this is today's presentation, right? This is how Africa is. That's the stage of Africa right now. And it is only Africans. 1 minute, sorry. It is only African that can free Africa, that can free African, that can liberate Africa, that can liberate Africans. All right? Not America. America can never free Africa. How can America free Africa when America is the one creating coup d'etat through American foreign policy? How can America free Africa when America is the one through her foreign policy overthrow the Guinean president? Carry on coup d'etat, was the mastermind behind the coup d'etat in Sudan. Or in Guinea. How can America free Africa when America was the mastermind behind a coup in Mali? They themselves have confessed. They confessed to it that they were the one that carried on the coup in Guinea, in Mali. They are the people that are carrying on the coup in African nations. As long those leaders are not in compliance with American foreign policy. So how can America come to be the freedom, come to be the police, come to be the one advocating for democracy when they are the one killing elected officials, elected leaders? How can they be the one to carry democracy when they went to Haiti and remove an elected democratic president? How? Only African. So it is time, African leaders. That's stupidity. Sorry to say it, but sometimes y'all make decisions, y'all make policy. Do you see the American foreign policy that is affecting America today? Even they themselves are saying it, that those policies, it is affecting America today. And if they don't take time, those policies will make America a failed state, a failed empire. Because those failed policies, those policies have made Africa to disengage herself from America. And they have come to realize that if Africa disengage with any nation, that nation is doomed for failure. So Africa, you also made a mistake by creating foreign army, by inviting foreign army, not just foreign army, but colonial army, not just colonial army, but army to enslave African people. People that enslave African people. You went and took their army and brought them on the African continent. And you put them to a strategic area of mineral resources. They are not protecting human life, but they are protecting mineral resources. Do you see that? How can they come to protect human life, but they are not on the front to fight the terrorists, but they are to where the resources are? Oh no, they are the ones supporting the terrorists with their ammunition. Oh no, they are the ones creating a proxy war. And these are the people you depending on to come and save you, the savior. I don't care how you dress. The colonizer, increase more clothes, they will never save you. I don't care how you dress then. Increase more clothes. How they call it thing? How they call that thing a dress in? I don't even know. Santa Claus. I don't care how you can dress there in Santa Claus. And you sing all the Christmas songs, all the Santa Claus songs. They will never save you. Never. Only African can save Africa. The mistake you did by inviting foreign army on the African continent, it is time to tell them to leave. It is time to tell them to leave. They are the one creating a proxy war. They are the one supporting the terrorists because it make it easy. It make it easy. When the enemies is in your garden, when the enemies are in your backyard, to support terrorists, to get ammunition to the terrorists. It is easy. But it is difficult when they are sitting in America or in Europe. When are they going to fly? Because we will steal their plane. And we will question them, what are you doing over our airspace? But they already on the African continent, it's easy for them to supply. The rebels, it's easy. Because they use the CUN to carry the ammunition to the terrorists. Because you are not looking at UN. You are not looking what in the UN car. Because you feel they are UN, they pass. But they are the one carrying the ammunition to the terrorists, to the rebels, the United Nations. I know what I'm talking about. I know what the United Nations did in Liberia. That you see United Nations, they were the one carrying the ammunition in Liberia. In the 90s, we were on a farm. We will leave the farm and come in a town. And we will see that, in fact, at a certain time, they used to pass. So at that time, while they are passing, we already know the time they are passing, we will leave the farm and come on the road. And when they see us, they will be dropping sardines, and we'll be picking these sardines. Because we have never eaten sardines. We have never seen sardines. But now these people, they so-called United Nations, we are carrying ammunition. We are hauling. We are supplying ammunition in a city, in Moravia, for the rebels. And we thought these are soldiers that were coming for us to save us. The war did not even start, but you have UN. What is the function of UN? To prevent war. So if the function of UN is to prevent war, is to create peace, but the United Nations were there first. And they were passing, you will see on a car, UN, on their camouflage, how they call it, stuff, you will see UN. At that time, the war was not there. But after they have hauled all the ammunition, they left and the war entered. The war came. So they were holding all these arms. That's the function of the the UN, to protect foreign interests. So the UN carried the ammunition to the terrorists. We saw in DRC Congo, when a truck had an accident, a United Nations truck had an accident, and billions worth of mineral resources were in the United Nations truck, and they had accident. I think our ancestors that they decided that I'm going to expose you people. What is the United Nations truck doing in DRC Congo full of mineral resources worth of billions of dollars, carrying it to the port, or carrying it to a place where it's supposed to pick up by a helicopter? Because one of the busiest airports in the world is in DRC Congo, where no airport, but plain land, plain pickup, plain land, plain pickup, plain land, plain pickup, with no airport. But the United Nations is there. And the United Nations truck had an accident. And billion worth of mineral resources were in our truck. That speaks a volume that these are the people supporting the M23 rebel. Our African leaders, wake up. Wake up. Sometimes we blame you for the policy that you make. Just how the United States You have some senators, some citizens are not realizing that the American foreign policy is the one affecting America right now. That's how some of the decisions you got made, it is affecting us as well. So wake up, African leaders. Those terrorist groups are being supported by the same people you have on the African continent. It is time you let all these foreign military leave the African continent. It is time to build your own military. Why do you have your military? Why do you, we have people on the African continent that can protect Africa. The most young and vibrant populated continent is the African continent. Then why are we not putting ourselves to use? We have the resources. Stop depending on American IMF loan. We have resources that we're not even supposed to take loan. We have land that we're not even supposed to be starving when it comes to food. We have forests that we're not even supposed to be suffering when it comes to medications. The forest can provide our medications. All we need is we need all those experts. Train the African youth. Train the African. And we will build our own pharmaceutical company right in Africa. We have the forest to provide our medications, to save us from disease, from sickness. Build the empire. You will still be rich. You don't have to go take IMF loan. You don't have to go to the Barclays Bank. You don't have to go to Wachovia or West Fargo or American banks to take loan to become rich. And you take this money and then you bring it right back and put it into the Barclays Bank, into American banks. It's not even on the African continent. You don't call that rich. You have the resources. All you need to do, empower your people. Be your own producer. You will become rich. If you are not a producer, you can't become rich. The money they gave you, you will spend it to the people who produce. Be your own producer. And you'll be rich. Who told you say you can't be rich? In fact, you will have more than the money you have in a bank, in European banks. If you are your own producer, put your resources to use. Manufacture your own resources. Make it into finished good, into finished product. And then sell it to America in African currency. Sell it to Europe in African currency. And see whether you will not be rich. Because you will determine the price. You will determine the value. Not America determine the value. Because they are buying your own goods in American currency. So they determine the value. You can become rich. More than the money you have in Europe. More than the money you have in American banks. You can become rich. Do the right thing. Take out these foreign military. Build your own military. Build your own system. Build your own base. Build your own banking system. Build your own national bank. You will become rich. And then we will loan money to America. We will loan money to Europe. And now we dictate to them. Now we can tell them how it is. When you feeding people. When you give it to people. Now we can tell them you are terror. Now we can use some of those words on them. Ladies and gentlemen, we stop here today. Thanks for being on. I will see you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow we're starting the Saturday show. So we are back finally tomorrow with the Saturday show. So I will see you all tomorrow at 10 a.m. So please like, share, and subscribe, and ask other people to subscribe to our channel. We need to build this community. We need to build this environment. It is an environment to educate our people, to liberate the minds of our people, so that people like Obama can come to you to speak to you. Because the unconscious minds are the people Obama looking for. Obama will never get a conscious mind. So we need our people to subscribe to a channel like this, so that people like Obama can succeed. Because he is a neo-colonialist, and we do not need, in fact, we do not need any neo-colonialist to speak to our people. See us tomorrow. Peace.